Imagine you're in a car with people you love and trust, never once thinking that they would cause you any harm, when all of a sudden the driver floors the gas pedal, flying through a residential street going almost 100 miles per hour. And before anyone can react, the car slams straight into a brick building so hard that the car quite literally splits in two. And just like that, 2 people are gone. That's what happened to Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. And the person who was driving the car is 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla. Now, at first, you might hear about this case and think, okay, clearly this was a terrible, terrible accident. She was clearly not in control. Maybe she blacked out or something. But the more you look into it and the deeper you go, the harder it is to realize that this is not something that came out of nowhere. Mackenzie and Dominic had actually been in a relationship for a very long time now, but throughout the years, people started saying that their relationship became very toxic. It was no longer about young love and more like intense attachment. There are countless stories of her being physical with him, being very controlling, not wanting him to act a certain way. And there's one moment, weeks before the crash, that really stands out. Her and Dom were in the car together that day, and Mackenzie was driving. But something happened that turned into an argument, and for some reason it got so heated that Dom started feeling really unsafe, and he actually called his mom to come and pick him up in the middle of the highway. And while he's on the phone with his mom, she can hear Mackenzie in the background yelling, "I'm going to wreck this car right now." Now, at that time, she didn't do anything. Things calmed down, Dom got picked up, the day ended perfectly fine. But that specific moment didn't just disappear, because 2 weeks later, they are all back into that same car again. It's July 31st, 2022, at around 4 or 5ish in the morning, and after getting ready to leave a friend's house, Dominic hops in the passenger seat of Mackenzie's car, Mackenzie gets in the driver's seat, and their friend Davion gets in the back seat. Now, somewhere during that drive home, something changes. We don't know if one of them said something, maybe they started arguing again, maybe Dom tried to end the relationship for real this time, we don't know. But for whatever reason, Mackenzie started speeding the car up faster and faster and faster. And I don't mean going a little over the speed limit, I mean she is going almost 100 miles per hour on a residential road. And within a matter of literal seconds, the car flashes down the street, and all you hear are the terrifying sounds of the car smashing straight into a brick building that was right in front of them. The crash was so violent that the car physically split in two, and when officers arrived to the scene, they called it the worst crash they have ever laid their eyes on. Unfortunately, when they looked inside the car, Dominic and Davion did not survive the impact. It was a catastrophic mess. But to their surprise, Mackenzie was still breathing. And so all the policemen locked in, and they said if there's any good that can come out of this crash, it is to save this girl right here. And that's exactly what they did. They rushed her to the hospital, they performed multiple surgeries on her to save her life, and after doing that, now it was time for police to start asking questions and figuring out how the hell did such a bad car crash happen. Mackenzie started saying that she didn't remember anything that happened, that she just blacked out and that was it. So they brought in a neurologist to maybe figure out, okay, why? But all they said was that she probably just had a medical episode. It's possible that she lost consciousness and her body shut down in that exact moment. But here's why it gets difficult to believe that, because the car itself tells an entirely different story. Every car has something called a black box. It's basically like an event data recorder that tracks every move the car makes. And the data from the car that night showed that the gas pedal was pushed down the entire time. There wasn't a second where Mackenzie lifted her foot off of it. There was no attempt to slow down or stop the car, which if you try and pair that with the idea that she passed out, it doesn't make any sense. A limp passed out person wouldn't have the strength to be able to floor a gas pedal to over 100 miles per hour. And when you also put that next to what happened weeks before when she told Dom that she was going to crash the car during an argument, it starts to feel like less of a coincidence. Then there's how she acted after the crash. Mackenzie stayed in a hospital while recovering for some time, and about 3 months later, apparently her parents allowed her to go to a concert with her friends, and she was posting it all over social media, even making a TikTok where she tells people to search her name up. And people saw that and they started thinking, how do you go from something as tragic as this to acting so normal? Like, I know everyone handles trauma very differently. There is no perfect way to grieve, but when you have a mountain of evidence that points only one way, it makes people question the things you do a whole lot more. Eventually, investigators felt very strongly about their case and they made a decision. They arrested Mackenzie and charged her for the murders of Dominic and Davion. Now, in court, the focus wasn't really too much on what happened, but why. was it truly unintentional? Her lawyer stated that she doesn't remember anything that happened, that something went physically wrong, and that she lost complete control, and why would she harm herself too if her goal was to kill Dom? But the prosecution pointed to the level of speed and the lack of braking that she did, the erratic steering, going right and then left and right again, smashing into the wall almost as if she was purposely trying to hit Dom's side even more, the gear switching from drive to neutral and then back again, and also her toxic relationship with Dom. And in the end, the judge agreed with the prosecutors, and Mackenzie Shirilla was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. But even now, to this day, people are still arguing about this case because there is just one question that never fully goes away. What actually happened in those last few seconds? Was it truly a medical emergency, or was it something that she did purposefully out of anger? We'll never hear Dominic's side. We'll never hear Davion's side. And the only person who could explain anything says that she doesn't remember. But if you were to take just a step back and look at this entire case as a whole,